Wellens out to Tom James. Good job! Oh my God! What a goal for Tom James! Oh, that was special!
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. Cleo and Theo are certainly excited, and so should you be, because it's another massive fixture here in E10. And we're delighted to be bringing you all of the action here as the O's face Bristol Rovers. And as I said, we're going to be bringing you every single second of the action. So make sure you join us. And I'm delighted to be here with Orient legend Jabo, Ibehre and journalist Brendan Pitcher. And of course, it feels like we were here just the other day, Brendan. A fantastic performance against Blackpool. Confidence is high. It feels like we're just kind of moving seamlessly into the next fixture now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you get into these run of fixtures where we play Saturday, Tuesday, it's nice when you're winning. You don't feel as leggy, I'm sure, afterwards. And there's a real confidence and assuredness about this squad at the minute that they can go to places like Oxford, who are higher than us in the league, Blackpool, who are in and around us, Bristol Rovers today, who are just slightly below us, but around that kind of place on the table, and you can play these teams off the park and win games. So I'm sure there's a great feeling amongst the dressing room at the minute, and I'm sure they're feeling pretty confident.
You called it last Saturday, Jabo. You said if we beat Oxford, we'd be in a good position to go on and have a good, strong end to the season. And it does certainly feel like, especially after Tuesday as well, today's just another opportunity to keep that ball rolling.
Yeah, I think today's the big one for me. I think there's two teams. I think Bristol Rovers would be thinking if they get a result today, this is going to start their charge to it. I think if we get the result today, I would say we'll do it. I really think we'll do it, and I think I'm not going to say it with my chest. No, but I think it will give them momentum. Bristol Rovers are a tough team, a bit of a bogey team for us, and I think if we get over the line, I think it's going to give us even more confidence. And I think for me, this is the game.
You said the same thing last Saturday, Jabo. But I guess the thing is now though, if that is the goal, we can't afford to lose many, and every game is absolutely humongous, and every game is got to be the one, I guess.
Yeah, you can say that, but just in particular, they're just an interesting side, and we're similar in terms of the amount of goals we've scored, our similar form, and I just think this is just a pinnacle game. I just smell it for some reason, but I think if we do get over the line, I think it's just then you start chalking off the games. How many games are left? Get another win. Before you know it, that momentum, suddenly you're in the playoffs. And I just think we're on a good run. The games are coming thick and fast. You carry that confidence into every single game, and it keeps the squad tight. Everyone's just about just maintaining your fitness, not too much time on the training ground, and just keep churning out those results. And I think we're in a good place.
And if we think back to Tuesday night, we leapfrogged Blackpool. Really, after we scored a goal, we made them look like probably a bottom half team. They didn't offer much at all. It was a really professional, solid performance from the O's. And then you think even further back to the Burton game, where on paper you think, this is the one, just an easy 3 points. It's just a hard one to call in this league, I guess.
Yeah, there's no room for complacency at all, because I think it can be quite easy to go from a week where you've beaten, like you said, Oxford, who are higher than us in the league, Blackpool, who are just about higher than us, but in and around us, and then Bristol Rovers, which is in theory the easiest game, and say, all right, if we turn up today, we win. So you can't have any complacency. I think it was a really interesting game, the one against Blackpool, and Richie made a really interesting point about his tactics in the post-match interview when he was saying, we mixed it up. We didn't play against Oxford. We played our usual game, the passing, the movement and the pressing. On Tuesday against Blackpool, it was a bit more direct because we matched it up against them, and it worked. And I think it's a massive strength to this squad. It's quite a young, inexperienced squad, but the fact that they can play in different styles and still win games against good, experienced League One sides is a real credit to the coaching team.
Well, thankfully, complacency is not a word in Richie Wellens' vocabulary, but he's got plenty of other words. I think that's fair to say. So it's time now to hear some of those words as we caught up with Richie ahead of this afternoon's game.
Bristol Rovers to come on Saturday. They didn't play on Tuesday. What kind of a challenge are they going to pose us? Yeah, a bit of a mixed bag since Matt's gone in there. I think he's striving to find the right way of playing. Whenever I played against his teams at Exeter, he was always aggressive. And they've not been quite like that at Bristol, so maybe we'll see something different. But he's an excellent manager that was successful at Exeter and then got his move to Rotherham in a championship is a really tough job for anybody. So I think he's found a good club in Bristol now that he'll start to sink his teeth in it, and over the coming month and especially January, especially the summer, you'll start to see improving signs with him. But club that has obviously built a lot of foundations with Joey Bart in the last few years, well budgeted team, and it's got some talented players.
We closed the gap on the top six by one more point on Tuesday. Just how exciting a time is it to be here at the moment?
I honestly don't think of it like that. I don't come off and think how far off of the top six. I just think of where we've come from, how the players are developing, and we've done it differently to some teams this year. We've had to go young, we've had to develop players. So we lost 3 players last year. Charlie Kelman went back to the Championship, Paul Smith went to the Championship, and Lawrence Figure went to the Premier League. So we develop players and then we lose them, and we have to build a new team. And we signed Dan Aggie, and we signed Jordan Graham, we signed Max Sanders, and Jordan Graham was excellent, and then we lose him. Dan Aggie comes in, and we're constantly having to create new teams. So the thing for me is consistency in team selection, consistency in performance, and if we get all of them things right, then we're capable of winning a lot of the games that are remaining. So I know it's an old cliche, we just keep one game at a time, because you never know who's going to be fit and what's going to happen. Teams at the moment, like Bristol, played 3 at the back, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. So there's so many varieties at the moment, we just need to concentrate on ourselves.
Well, let's concentrate on ourselves, and let's concentrate on the starting 11 that Richie has opted for this afternoon's fixture against Bristol Rovers, and it's unchanged from Tuesday night's win over Blackpool. But let's remind ourselves of what that looks like. So in goal for the O's, of course, is Solbrin. Across the back line today, going from right to left, we had Ethan Galbraith, the captain today, Omar Beckles, Brandon Cooper, and then finally at left back, Tom James. In the midfield, we have Jordan Brown alongside Idris Elmazuni, and then in that number 10 role, looking to continue his fine form, is George Moncur. And then our 3 attackers, the youngsters, it's Shatford, Ollie O'Neill, and Ruel Satirio. On the bench for the O's is Sam Howes, Joe Piggott, Darren Pratley, Dan Aduajai, Rob Hunt, and Keon Edwards. So that is how the O's line up, and I mean, no surprises really to see it unchanged.
Yeah, not really. I think it's difficult to change a winning team as much as you might be tempted because of the run of fixtures we're on, and you might have some tired legs in the squad. But I think there's a real cohesion about this team. That it's the team that's played the majority of games for the last month or so, and obviously they're getting the results. So they're building up that level of, like I say, cohesion, knowing each other's patterns of play, and I think it is our strongest team available at the minute, and it's really good to see that. I think Richie mentioned in his pre-match that Tom James had a bit of a knock. Nice to see he's recovered, because he's so important to the way we play, and it's nice to have that settled side going into this one.
And I mean, I don't want to disrespect Richie in any way at all here, but it must be quite easy for him at the moment, just, send him back out, unchanged, you boys just do your thing, because it feels like we're in that vein of form that he can do that.
Yeah, of course, and I think sometimes it's a good way to, if you can keep the same team, like Brendan was saying there, everyone starts to know each other's game, and you work together each week, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this week, do this game, and I'm going to find you, and you just get those relationships. And I think it's a good thing when you can do that, but the hard thing, I guess, and which Richie has done really well, he does it game after game, just keeping that temperament, keeping everyone just keeping going in the right direction instead of getting too gassed or too low. He just keeps everyone on it, knowing we ain't done enough yet, we're not there, keep going, and that's the most important thing, because you can win and have that confidence, but then you can take your eye off the prize, and I think he keeps them on their toes very well.
When it comes to that as well, I think this is where you've really got to heap the praise on Richie, because if you look across the starting 11, the average age is low. I don't have it to hand, but it's ridiculously low. From the front to the back, they're all around that 22, 23 age, and for him to be getting these results with the injuries we've got, it's just remarkable.
Yeah, it is. But you've always got Beckles in there, as a bit of a leader, and he probably sets the tempo and the temperament within the side. But what you find is that, especially at this stage, sometimes you need those cool heads and people that don't think too much and just get out there. And when you're young and youthful, you just want to express yourself. And these guys, some of these, it's like their first experience in League One. They're out there not thinking too much, just playing on instinct, and and that's why they're doing some remarkable things. And I think that energy and that youthful enthusiasm is helping us on our little run at the moment.
There's a lot of talk about Klopp's kids at the moment, but I think Richie's kids are going under the radar a little bit. In particular, the attacking front three. They've played a lot of minutes recently, probably more than anyone, even the coaches, would have expected them to. But they're clicking.
Yeah, all three of them, you can say it's their first time playing week in, week out at League One level. Look, Rael's played a bit more football than the other two, but I was so impressed with Rael on Tuesday night because we've said before he's a great finisher. When he gets his opportunities, he's brilliant at that. Sometimes the other areas of his game, particularly as a number 9, in terms of the pressing, the holding up of the ball and the making unselfish runs, perhaps maybe lacking a little bit. But up against a man we all know well in Marvin Ekpiteta on Tuesday, I thought he was excellent in terms of just competing with him, keeping him busy, and that allows the likes of Ollie O'Neill, George Moncur and Shaq Ford to do what they do and produce that moment of magic, because the number 9 up front, we saw it last season with Charlie Kelman to an extent, is keeping everyone busy, and I think that shows a real increase in maturity in Rael's game.
And Ollie O'Neill, you've mentioned his name, and I feel like we almost shouldn't talk about him too much. Don't want to draw attention because Madrid might come knocking or something, but he's been that good. What's it? 3 goals, 2 assists, 4 or 5 games. He's hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's a strange one because he's only been here about a month, and I feel like we're already running out of good things to say about him. He's so talented on the ball. When he gets the ball, everyone sits up in excitement. But also the stuff he does in terms of competing and challenging and his duels, you might not necessarily associate that with a kind of under 6 foot winger who's come from a Premier League academy playing his first experience of league football. You might think he's going to be a little bit shy, a little bit timid, but he really puts his head in, puts his foot on, does what he needs to do for the team as well as what he does going forward, which is excellent in terms of bringing the goals and the assists like we've seen in recent weeks.
And whilst we're talking about youthfulness and maybe inexperience, there's one player who, through the injuries and the situations we've been forced into, he's really stepped up, and he's been counted for as one of our senior players, and that's George Moncur. We've highlighted how good he's been in recent weeks, but obviously a man you know well, Jabo. How good is it to see him? Or actually, even, do you think that he maybe needed that situation to be like, listen, you need to be the main man now? Because it looks like he's grabbed that with both hands. Yeah, and I think he's probably one of the catalysts to why we're playing so well and having this good form, because we all know he's got top quality, and I've been with him at previous teams, and I've just been in awe of the guy because when he's buzzing, he's a really, really good player, can do everything, and he's carefree, take a risk, and he's got that nice sort of smile about him, doesn't really care, and he'll take a risk. And to see him go through the season, his injuries and little illnesses and whatever else has been going on, see him find that form and really encapsulate the team and his performances and bringing everyone along with him, it's just fantastic, and I hope he just takes us over the line, because I'm really happy for him now. He's finding his feet and finding his form again. And with the way we set up with Rael ahead of him and then Ollie O'Neill and Shaq Ford either side, who, as Brendan said, not much League One football played between them before this season. Well, barely any. None before this season. How important is it to have a character and a player like George Moncur kind of knitting it all in that number 10 position? I think it's important, and he has a good temperament, because he's not too, he's the way he plays, you have to be a bit loose and a bit, you take risks, got to be a bit more carefree. So sometimes when you have sort of a more of a rigid individual in that position at times, they can get onto wingers and, hey, come back, don't do that, or pass it simple, blah blah. So he's probably encouraging them to keep going, and then it's affording him some really nice space to do his magic, and it's just working brilliantly at the moment. And he had to come off on Tuesday night. I think Richie said it was an abdominal problem, but he played 90 minutes against Oxford as well. And maybe some people, even Richie, said he maybe wouldn't or didn't play a full 90 minutes often, but he's showing that that's coming into his game now, and he's as you've already said, standing up and being counted and giving us 90 minutes. Yeah, I think the Oxford game was his first 90 minutes in the league of the season, and you can tell he's getting the confidence back as well as the kind of fitness aspect. And when you've got a George Moncur that's fit and firing, we saw it in League Two. He's too much for defenders, and even at League One level, he's proven that
but when he's at his best, he's a championship player. So we're now seeing that from George Moncur, that end product, like you say, that knitting it together. And he's just such a dangerous player when you give him that freedom to go and have the license to go and play in behind a striker, play that kind of free role. And as long as he's happy within himself and in form and fit, then he's a great player to watch.
Let's switch our focus to the defensive side of the game. Then we kept our first clean sheet on Tuesday night in 4 or 5 games, which is a very big positive, because obviously our good form in the early part of this year was built upon that. How big is that to get the clean sheets back in? And obviously the new partnership of Brandon Cooper and Omar Beckles after Happy's injury took a little bit of time to settle in, but they're growing every week, aren't they?
Yeah, they're definitely growing, and I think it's really important, especially, like I said, at this business end now. I feel that goals ain't really a problem. I think we're scoring. I'm very confident in the attacks and the attackers that will get the goals. Now, if we're shoring up at the back a bit more and the partnership's getting better and there's a bit more of an understanding, it's just going to do wonders for the team and the confidence.
Let's take a look at some of their clips then from recent games, because losing Dan Happy was obviously a massive blow, and we've actually got no other options apart from these two. So how important is it that they stand up and be counted in these games?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Richie had a public word. We saw it in the post-match interview against Burton about kind of their performances, and they seem to have taken that on board and stepped it up a gear in recent weeks. We're seeing here from the clips they're forming that partnership now. They're commanding in their play and even contributing further up the field. But like you say, it is a case of needs must at the minute. I think even when earlier in the season they were both here at the club, but I think because of Omar's injury and then obviously the form of Dan Happy, they didn't play a lot together. So it is a burgeoning partnership where they're going to have to learn each other's game and learn how to play together. But it seems like it's all clicking together now, and I think Tuesday was probably, especially in the second half, it was a commanding performance from both of them, and they'll be delighted to have picked up their first clean sheet in a while. Commanding
is the word that I think you'd put down, especially to that Tuesday night performance. And how important is it in this league, you know, when you're trying to hold on to 1-0 lead as we were on Tuesday night, a game right tonight, and we'll come on to very shortly, the attackers they've got, you want your two defenders to be strong and to win everything in the air, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you want them to be commanding, dominating, really, really tight and very organised, and it's beginning to show, and it's coming in again at the right time. And a lot of the teams in this league generally have a good striker who's scoring the goals. You know what I mean? So I think it's important to have good centre halves that can keep them quiet and allow the team to have the confidence to go forward and express themselves.
Well, he's been in fine form of late, and he's been wearing the armband, and he's wearing the armband again this afternoon. And it's time to hear from the thoughts of Omar Beckles as we spoke to him ahead of today's game.
Bex, we're 3 wins from 4, clean sheet on Tuesday. What's the mood like around the place at the moment?
Yeah, nice, positive. I guess since the turn of the year we've hit a good run of form, and obviously we're in touching distance of the playoffs, so I guess everyone's optimistic, hopeful, maybe a little bit disappointed after the other 2 games, be it Barnsley, be it Burton, but I think to turn it round and get results at Oxford away, get results against Blackpool, who absolutely smash Bolton 4-1. I think it's just showing of what we're capable of. So we've got to maintain that and hopefully see where we end up at the end of the season. But yeah, positive.
What's been the key to that? Because I think performances in the first half of the season were good as well, but we maybe didn't get the points that we deserved. Now we are getting those points. So what's been the difference, do you think? A
culmination of things. Like, it's hard to put your hand on what it is specifically. We've had injuries, which hasn't been great. We've still got injuries now. We were playing a completely different formation. Sometimes people don't factor in. We played one formation the whole of last season, and we started doing a different formation, which was to, adjust to the level. But I think we kind of went back to what we are really, and we've just gone with that intensity. We've gone with the right formation. And I think obviously the lads that have came in, I think it's just timing. Lads getting used to the level. Physically, my body weren't in the best of shape, and so many others weren't in good nick at the time. So I just think there's a culmination of things that have concluded why it probably wasn't the way it was. But we showed glimpses of what we're capable of. Good performances, but maybe not turning it around with that edge and getting a result. So yeah, I just think it's just timing more than anything. It's a shame, because obviously we'd like to think if we were able to start in that manner, God knows where we would be right now. But But look, you know what? It's a great opportunity nonetheless, and we're going to try our best to make the most of what's left of the season.
Brilliant stuff there from Omar. And now, if you missed it on Tuesday night, we've got a special deal for you. And also, if you missed it on Tuesday night, the deal involves Brendan getting his shorts on because we're offering 30% off on all replica kits and training shorts. And the offer is available both in-store and online and can be taken advantage of right now. And of course, it's March, so that means it's nearly springtime. So why not get yourself a new pair and get those legs out and start getting them tanned ahead of the summer, which is exactly what Brendan will do if we sell over, what do we say, 5? If we sell over 5 pairs of shorts, Brendan will wear a pair on this stream. Jabo, we would never do that.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on swiftly then, there's only 10 minutes to go until kick-off, and of course don't forget, if you're watching along live on our YouTube stream, then international fans, you can pick up a streaming pass to watch along with us here on Orient Live. And UK fans, you can pick up an audio pass to listen along. With Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock, passes can be picked up on the website that is on screen now. And it's, of course, Bristol Rovers who are the opposition. So let's take a look and see how they're going to be lining up as they prepare to face the mighty Leyton Orient. In goal for Bristol Rovers, we have number 31, Jed Ward. We have Lewis Gordon, James Wilson and Scott Sinclair. We have Luke Thomas. It's not too cold today, but he's still going to play. It's Chris Martin. Sorry, that was shocking. We've got Giovanni Brown, the captain, Anthony Evans. We have Camille Conte. We have Elkan Baggott. And finally, Jack Hunt. And on the bench for the Gasheads, it's Matthew Cox, Josh Grant, Sam Finley, John Marquis, Connor Taylor, Harvey Vale and Harry Vaughan. So just below us in the table, Brendan, but not a bad side. Obviously, they've lost a certain manager, which we won't touch on too much for obvious reasons, but a bit of an unexpected one today.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that team on paper, there's a lot of experienced players who've played much higher in the pyramid, and I think that's kind of, I won't mention him, but that manager previously would have brought those players in because he likes those characters. I think they've obviously sacked Joey Barton and now brought in Matt Taylor, who at Exeter, when he had his best teams, it was kind of a young, vibrant team that he could mould in his image, and as kind of a weighing up kind of process where Matt Taylor's trying to adapt to having these kind of senior pros, and it's a bit up and down. Look, they've won some games and they've lost others. I think some people expect them to kick on further when Matt Taylor come in. It hasn't quite happened just yet, but I think in time it will be a good long-term appointment. But at the minute, I think it's a little bit. On one day they can be really hot and look really good, and the other days they can be really cold, and you can exploit them. So, not really seeing what we're going to get here is going to be a surprise. And they've chopped and changed formations a lot as well, which doesn't help from like Orient's coaching point of view in terms of producing a game plan. We think they're going to play a 4-4-2 today, but they can easily switch it up into a 3 at the back or a 4-2-3-1.
You look at the reverse fixture, Jabo, it was a Tuesday night. It was a horrible winter's night, and the O's left it late to rescue a point. But I can't remember it too well, but it felt like it was thoroughly deserved. But I think it showed that they could be stubborn opposition. And as Brendan said, they've got quality in their side, and they will still pose threats, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a tougher game than we actually realise. I think they've got generally a couple of really good players that are, if they're warm, if they're hot, they can cause us some trouble. So I think we have to attack the game like really on it, regardless of their league position. I think they're going to slyly feel they can still maintain a playoff push and need to start picking up some results to sort of have a chance. And I think this is a game that's important to them, so I think they'll be really up for it, and we have to be up for it ourselves, because if we're not, they can cause us some severe trouble.
Well, let's come on to their front man then. It's Chris Martin, of course. He's a dangerous striker, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably the most informed striker in the division at the minute. I think we're going to see the clips of some of his goals here, but he's got 10 goals in his last 12 games, and probably when you think of Chris Martin, look, he was a player who played at his best at the top ends of the Championship, and he was that kind of target man, would bring others into play, but wasn't necessarily prolific. But he seems to have dropped down a level to Bristol Rovers and has added goals to his game. He's getting those kind of poacher goals that perhaps you didn't see when he was playing for the likes of Fulham and Derby and Bristol City in the Championship. And he, like I say, just really dangerous at the minute in terms of his goal scoring form. His confidence must be flowing through him, and it's an interesting test today for both Brandon Cooper and Omar Beckles, who we've highlighted, because you've got Chris Martin, who is that kind of penalty box striker at the minute, finding his goals, and then also up front alongside him, Jabo Brown, who's a completely different player in terms of he'll run off him, he's quick, he's got a great finish on him as well, but they're a good strike partnership because they're very different in how they play.
Well, it's paradise for Chris Martin at the moment, isn't it, Jabo? Because, it feels like everything he's touching is becoming a goal. And when you're a striker in that vein of form, you just want to get out there every week, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. You just want the games to come round. You want to keep adding to that tally, and everything you kind of strike, it just goes in. You don't even think about it. It's just boom, hit, and you're just like, oh, how did that happen? But it's gone in. So when you're in that famous form, you just want to keep playing games. And that's why, if he's up for it, we need to be on the money today.
We'll leave it with the Coldplay puns there. And let's remind ourselves of how the O's are going to be lining up then, because it's just under 5 minutes to go until kick-off. So in case you missed it earlier in the show, then the O's are unchanged from Tuesday night's win over Blackpool, and in goal, in between the sticks, is Sol Bryn. Across the back four, we have Ethan Galbraith at right back. We have Omar Beckles wearing the armband alongside Brandon Cooper in centre-back positions, and then at left-back, it's Tom James. In the middle of the park, it's Jordan Brown alongside Idris El Mazouni, and then in the number 10 role is George Moncur. And then our three youngsters leading the line is Shaq Ford, Ollie O'Neill and Ruel Satirio. On the bench for Leighton Orient is Sam Howes, Joe Piggott, Darren Pratley, Dan Aduajai, Max Sanders, Rob Hunt and Keon Edwards. So it's a really interesting one as well, because I know we've touched on Bristol Rovers didn't have a game on Tuesday night. We did. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a toss-up. Is it better to have that week off and have fresh legs, or just keep them games going thick and fast? What is it when you're a player? How do you feel?
I think if you're winning games, you want to play as many games as possible, but knowing that you're picking up no injuries along the way, which we haven't. We're able to sort of select the same team, and I think when you're winning games, you're confident. You want to play the next game, keep that rhythm going, keep that momentum going. So I'd rather be playing games if I'm on good form. On the other hand, if you're losing games, it's a bit indifferent. Then some managers would want time on the training ground to sort of impose their tactics and get everyone back in the right sort of form. So they probably don't want matches. But for our position, I think bring on as many games as possible, keep it going, keep taking those points, chucking them off onto the next one, and we'll be there.
I don't know how it compares to 25 years ago when you made your debut, Jabo. Just slipping that one in. But it feels like, Brendan, the best atmosphere there's ever been in E10. There's just something in the air. The crowd of Tuesday night, it was loud, it was proud. It feels like something special. And when the lads step out on the pitch here, it feels like this is the fortress.
Yeah, we've had some good teams that we've had the pleasure to watch at Brisbane Road over the last decade or so, but in my memory since I've been coming to the club, I feel like, I agree, it is the best atmosphere we've experienced. It feels like Richie Wellens has galvanised the fan base. He's been demanding of them, like he's been demanding of everyone at this football club, the board, the players and everyone, because he wants success and he wants us all pulling in the same direction, and that really feels like what we're doing at the minute as a fan base, as a club, and it's all because of Richie Wellens and his high standards.
And I know you're confident, Jabo, you've said it's a massive game and if we win we go on, but when it comes down to the players, how much do you think they're paying attention to that, and how much do you think they're just going game by game and we'll take it as it comes?
I think at this point, I think you don't look too far ahead, but in the back of your mind you have a target, where you feel you could go, but you just want to win, chalk it off, bang, into the next one. You don't think a million games ahead, but you just take each game as it comes. The games start coming lower, start getting the results, 10, 9, 8, 7, blah, 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 and you just keep taking it as it comes. So don't get too gassed, but one game at a time.
How do you feel it's going to go today, Brendan? Because it is a tough one to be unchanged from Tuesday, so it's going to require them to dig deep to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a game where I think Bristol Rovers tend to have a go and they play quite an attacking 4-4-2, so I expect them to obviously attack us and try and score more goals and have a go more than some sides that have come to Brisbane Roads in recent weeks. I think it'll be a game where both teams score, but I think Orient might come out on top.
Well, hopefully they'll come out on top, and they're coming out of the tunnel now. So let's hand over to our commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
to the Gaughan Group Stadium, Brisbane Road, for what should be a fascinating test against the Bristol Rovers side, are returning to form after having so many injuries and coming from behind to win at Stevenage, and also a recent victory against Oxford United demonstrates that they will be a real threat to Lake Norrent's playoff ambitions. But the O's enter March in fine form, back-to-back wins, and 3 and 4 from Ollie O'Neill. And the O's out there at the moment together with 6 mascots, and 3 of them are called Mason. There's also Clario, Elijah and Jake. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's a fixture, of course, which we've seen many times over the years. In fact, it goes as far as to say I think Bristol Rovers are the team that the O's have played the most in their history. But this moment, this current environment, the O's pushing to get in that top 6, this feels like an absolutely crucial fixture, as will the other 10 remaining games of the season. A game which surely, if the O's are going to get there, they need the 3 points.